From spiders with babies on their back to the insects that literally brainwash their young into never leaving the nest, here are 10 of the creepiest creatures that make great parents. Number 10. Giant Pacific Octopus. The giant Pacific octopus is undoubtedly one of the most dedicated mothers in the world. This is the largest species of octopus known to man, and they can lay a super brood of around 100,000 eggs. Imagine if your chicken could put out 100,000 eggs at once, you'd have a whole lot of eggs to eat. But not only does the giant Pacific octopus lay tons of eggs, but they go on to care for the eggs for a very long time. First, they clean the eggs and keep them oxygenated inside of their nest without ever eating. Once they go into the nest to lay the eggs, that's basically the end of the octopus. After 6 months of safeguarding the eggs, the mother dies immediately when they hatch. It takes so much out of her that she just lays down and dies. The longest case of a female octopus caring for her eggs was recorded by researchers at the Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute. They used a remotely operated vehicle to spy on a giant octopus off the coast of California who protected her brood of eggs for a full 53 months before they hatched, and she subsequently died. Number 9. Pseudoscorpion. Pseudoscorpions are almost the same as scorpions. They look identical except that they don't have a stinging tail. They are still venomous, but they carry their venom inside their claws. These are really tricky creatures that you definitely wouldn't want to mess with. They are abundant across the entire planet, with over 3,000 species worldwide. There are even 27 species in the United Kingdom alone, according to the BBC. But because the pseudoscorpion is so small, only a few millimeters long, and they live underground or inside of hidden places, they are pretty discreet and not much of a threat to anyone. But we're here to talk about parentage. And scorpions are a tricky bunch. Some scorpions are very helpful by carrying their young on their back, but other scorpions can be cannibalistic. For example, a scorpion can be a great mother until she gets hungry, at which point she will just start eating her own babies. That's obviously not very good parenting. But with the pseudoscorpion, parenting is a little different. They work very hard to feed their young, dragging prey down into the den so they can eat. And when times get tough and food is scarce, the mother pseudoscorpion will actually allow her babies to eat her rather than starve. The young scorpion babies will suck the mother dry through the joints of her legs and body, since that's where her exoskeleton is thinnest. Talk about a sacrifice. Number 8. Caecilian Worms. Who in their right mind would think worms could be good parents? It just doesn't make sense. However, in the world of the Caecilian worms, a mother is extremely dedicated to the survival of her young. In fact, the mother worm is so dedicated to providing proper nutrition for her babies that she sacrifices pieces of herself so that they can have a good meal. While these slimy creatures look like worms and are called worms, they are actually amphibians. They are found in almost every rainforest in the world, and they spend pretty much all of their time underground worming around. The mother, to feed her larvae, will allow them to lick a special secretion at a point in her body known as a cloaca. Her little larvae babies, who actually have very sharp teeth, will then tear off and eat massive chunks of her skin as they feed, as her skin is rich in nutrients. It's like if instead of feeding your baby breast milk, they just went ahead and bit off your nipples and ate them. The good news is that the worm mother does regrow her skin every 3 days so she can keep on feeding her gross little worm babies. What's the most impressive tale of parenting you've ever heard? Do you know stories of mums who have lifted cars with their adrenaline-fueled strength to save their babies? Or people who somehow dove into icy waters to pull out their children? Let me know about your most amazing parenting superhero stories in the comments below. Then, be sure to subscribe to Epic Wildlife to get more awesome videos just like this one. Number 7. Strawberry Poison Dart Frog. Depending on who you are, frogs are creepy. They are slimy, they're kind of gross, and a lot of them are really poisonous. They have long, sticky tongues, and they just hang out on leaves and near ponds, being generally creepy. But in fact, frogs can be extremely selfless parents. Particularly, the strawberry poison dart frog is a super parent. After the female lays her eggs on the floor of the forest, the dad will keep guard so that no predators can get hold of the eggs. Plus, the dads are so diligent that they urinate on the eggs to keep them nice and moist. But the real action starts when the eggs hatch into tadpoles. This is because if the tadpoles are left together, the babies will actually eat each other. They are born as crazy savages. But to stop this, the mother frog will transport each baby individually on her back up into a tree and into a safe pool of water so they can grow up on their own without being cannibals. The mother will then visit each nursery pool every day for about 50 days straight, laying an unfertilized egg in each pool to keep the babies fed. And during this time, the father frog keeps guard on the territory to stop other animals from eating the babies. Number 6. Termites. Termites are disgusting. Out of all of the creepy crawly creatures, they are definitely up there in terms of grossness. They kind of look like sick white ants, but they actually bear no relation to ants at all. The only thing they have in common with ants is that they have an extremely complex social structure. You might say that insects are far more advanced than any other animals on the planet in terms of the social structure, and this comes into the parenting of termites. First of all, termites are super complicated. There's a king and a queen termite who produce multiple batches of children who then eventually die. The king and queen outlive almost all of their children several times over. Because the king and the queen termites give birth to so many children, you might think that the offspring would wander off and start their own little termite empires. But the king and queen termites actually produce special biological signalling pheromones that are transferred to their baby termites when they feed on the excretions of the king and queen. It's so much more complicated than this, but at its core, the mother and father of the termite nest feed their young with a chemical pheromone that brainwashes them into wanting to stay in the nest while they work for their parents. It's what allows the entire termite nest to function in an almost symbiotic hive mind nature. Number 5. Alligators. Alligators make some of the best mothers on the planet. Anyone who thinks alligators and crocodiles haven't been perfectly molded by millions of years of evolution is absolutely crazy. Out of all the reptiles in the world, alligators are probably the most parental. Turtles are definitely the worst. They abandon their eggs in the sand and let them fend for themselves. But female alligators go through a lot of work to raise their babies. She makes a large nest of mud and sticks, and then she lays somewhere between 10 and 50 eggs on the nest before covering them up to keep them warm and hidden. Here's an interesting fact. The sex of an alligator will be determined by what temperature it is as it develops as a baby inside of the egg. At 86 degrees Fahrenheit, the babies will all be female. If the temperature reaches 93 degrees Fahrenheit or more, the babies will all turn out to be male. And if the temperature is somewhere in the middle, it's going to be a mixture of both males and females. The mother alligator can actually sense this and will try to maintain a neutral temperature to produce babies that are male and female so that they have a better chance of reproducing themselves. After the babies grow, the mother alligator does typical mother stuff. She protects them from predators, and she carries the young baby gators around in her mouth as she swims through the water. For such fearsome reptilian predators, alligators are incredibly gentle with their babies. Number 4. Seahorse. Seahorses are less creepy and more weird. I mean, whose idea was it to shrink down a horse and put it in the water? But regardless of your thoughts on the appearance of the seahorse, there is no denying that these underwater equines are some of the best dads in the world. There are roughly 50 species of seahorse, and all of them are fantastic fathers. Each seahorse species shares a single unique trait. Of course, I'm talking about the fact that seahorses are the only animals in the world in which the male carries and delivers the babies. That's right, male seahorses do all the work of carrying the eggs, and then they deliver them. Seahorses are in fact monogamous, meaning they only have one mate during the reproductive season. After an elaborate courtship dance, the male and female seahorses fertilize the eggs. The female seahorse makes the eggs, and then she transfers the unfertilized eggs to her new partner. The male seahorse will fertilize the eggs and then carry them around in a pouch of his until it's time for them to hatch. Inside the male's pouch, the baby seahorses get plenty of food and oxygen, and they are then born between 2 and 4 weeks later. After the seahorses hatch from their eggs, they are completely independent. The mother and father leave them alone and they start life all by themselves. Number 3. Spiders. Just because spiders are hideous, evil, venomous, and a scourge of all humankind, it doesn't mean that they can't be good parents. Spiders are some of the best parents in the world. But not all spiders are the same. There are thousands of different types of spiders in the world, ranging greatly in size and behaviour. Let's talk about the nursery web spider. She uses her web-slinging abilities to keep all of her eggs inside a silk pouch, also known as an egg sac. She also builds a complex nest from the web to help guard the eggs, which is a pretty clever idea since you'd have to be an idiot to try and break into a spider's web fortress. Then there is the wolf spider, which carries its egg sac on the back of its abdomen, caring for them until birth. The mother will actually tweak her activities to better maintain the eggs, doing things like sitting in the sun to keep optimal temperature and even sitting in the water after the eggs have hatched to help the offspring drink. Even pirate spiders are great parents, which is surprising considering pirate spiders usually spend their time eating other spiders. Number 2. Golden lion tamarin. To be quite honest, monkeys are often creepy. Apes are creepy, primates are creepy. Anything furry that lives in the trees and looks like a small human can creep people out. But monkeys, and specifically primates like orangutans and the golden lion tamarin, make incredibly good parents. Orangutans raise their young for about 8 years, while the golden lion tamarin share much of the parenting duties. The female typically gives birth to twins. When the babies are born, they are completely furry and have their eyes wide open. They cling to their mothers for a few weeks, and after that, all the members of the group will actually help care for the infants. However, the father does the largest share of the raising, while the mother basically just nurses the babies. In the case of the golden lion Tamarin, it's actually the father that is the superstar parent, but since they live in a large social structure, it makes it easy for everyone in the group to look after the best interests of the newborn babies as they grow and learn over the next 18 months. Number 1. Cockroaches. If there was one creepy insect in the world hated by everybody, it would definitely be the cockroach. There's nothing more disgusting than when a cockroach scurries past you in the street, or when one comes crawling out of your utensil drawer. But even though humans are terrified of these gross animals, they actually have very elaborate parenting behaviours and will look after their children very well. Take the mother wood-burrowing cockroach from North America. She lays her eggs in a nest built from a rotted log, and then both the mother and the father live inside the nest with around 20 babies, scientifically known as nymphs, for up to 3 years or more. During this time, the parent cockroaches defend their young, they clean the nest, and they feed their babies by regurgitating food in the same way birds do. They do this using specialised fluid from inside their guts. And to make the situation even better, the baby cockroaches help out by spending roughly 10% of their time grooming their parents. Imagine if your baby spent 10% of its time giving you a massage. That is pretty impressive. Which of these creepy creatures do you think is the best parent? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and see you again soon for another fun video.